But whilst you've been here, I've been very aware of your references to God, to higher power. Has that changed over the years for you?
Yeah. Yeah, it's got much better over the last 3 years. Much better. So I wouldn't consider myself to have been very spiritual, but I kind of just had, there was like this little thing that happened to me, and I was really sad. I was living on my own, and it was freezing cold. I was driving down the M1 actually.
Mm-hmm.
I was in my car, and I was just miserable. I don't know, I didn't have a lot of money. I was just miserable, and I was driving down the motorway in this freezing cold car. And then there's a song called Shiver by Coldplay. And I never really, it was just a song and it didn't mean anything to me. And then all of a sudden, this Chris Martin sings Don't You Shiver, and my heating started working.
Oh, wow.
And it just blew out this warmth, and it was just like love hit me. And with the song Don't You Shiver. And it was just like God just wrapped his arms around me and said, here you go, don't be sad, I'm here. And that, I sort of clung on to that for decades as my personal, there is something else.
Sure.
It's not just this. It's not, there is more. To just tell me it's not just this. And because I think that was quite a sad place to be in, just thinking it's just this. You know, you meet people and they die, and you get sick, and you struggle all your life, and then that's it. You know, that was a very bleak, satanic version of what they wanted us to feel like.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's just getting better and better the last few years. Just knowing that there's more of me outside of this, and that that I don't know. There's so much that I know but I know that I don't know it. But I know that there's a lot to know, to get to know, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful to be able to talk to my children and say, "There's more. You know, there's more, and it's not just this." And to say that with confidence, I think that's nice, rather than having to lie or just to say some bleak thing. This is it. You know,
that'd be very sad. Wouldn't it? Yeah. Yeah, we've got Santa Claus, we've got the Tooth Fairy here, Ratoncito Perez, but there's no God. Yeah.
There's the struggle, then death.
That's it. Exactly. Yeah. It's an interesting journey that I see lots of people on, and myself on, and my wife on. I use my wife as an example. When I first met my wife 20 years ago, she said, I don't like God, I hate God, God doesn't exist. That was where she was. She'd been brought up a Catholic, she'd seen nothing but hypocrisy and meaningless drivel. Yeah. And little by little, kind of, through our experiences, she started to understand that, hey, this hasn't come around by accident. This is not, you can't have this by accident. But lately, I hear a talk now in terms of, God and the devil, not religion. Religion, I think, religion is, some people are turning to religion, but mostly it's falling to one side, and people are turning to faith, which is a very different thing, which is not dogma. Faith is, everybody can have their own faith and believe it in the way that they want, but they've got faith, and I think that's, you're describing, that's what we need. And let me tell you a story about something that happened to us. It was very similar. I believe that when you have a message that wants to come through, the repeated numbers, like now it's like God bless you, repeated numbers everywhere. You can't stop seeing repeated numbers. I can't. But sometimes they show you through a signal, through a sign like you had. And we were in the kitchen and we were talking about the COVID when it was coming to an end. And I said, I'm telling you, when they announce that it's over, those lights are coming on, right? And I pointed my finger up because we've got some lights across for birthdays and stuff across the wall. That's what I was referring to. And as I did that, the light in the kitchen, which was off and had been off for a while, came on in that instant when I pointed my finger. And I went, oh, it must be coming to an end soon. But very similar.
Yeah.
instantaneous, and normally quite often with electronic things.
Yeah.
The light, I think it's such fine energy that they can manipulate that.
Oh, I got goosebumps.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, question for you: where do you think we're going to?
Ah, right. Yeah, so I have to kind of touch a bit upon something that we spoke about earlier, because I'm in somewhere between NASA lies about everything, so that version of space is absolute rubbish.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other side, we've got films which are supposedly disclosure, things like Star Trek are supposedly disclosure, and then you've got, just all the talk about the Pleiadians and the Lemurians and all this kind of stuff. So you've got all these civilizations, they've got to be somewhere. If they exist, they've got to be somewhere. So, so it's either like, well, we can't get out here because of the firmament or something. So I've got many possibilities running through my mind, but I think that the technology is way ahead of what we're allowed. So and I like technology. I really do like technology, and so I'm free energy is coming. I feel it, and I've seen this proliferation of videos about people making their own free energy stuff with magnets and stuff, and I showed my engineer friend, and he's like, "Nah, that's just rubbish. You try and do it. It's just camera tricks or whatever." But I haven't had the time to make one, but I think it's hidden knowledge, and it's coming out. I think we're going through this procedure of disclosure at a rate at which we can take it, at a rate at which we can adopt it naturally, whether or not we'll be told, by the way, this has been suppressed, or by the way, we've been under this CABAL of control, and now you've been. I think things are just sort of happening in as much of a organic way as possible. But I think we're going to have very fast reforms of financial systems. Yeah, we've had it a lot before, but financial systems, technological systems, medical systems, medical autonomy, sovereignty. I think it's really a bright future. And just when, I don't know.
Sure.
I'm poised for there to be an EBS, and for there to be I was hoping it was going to be before the children went back to school. Don't make them suffer anymore. But these things, if you're a believer in stuff happening under the ground and people being rescued and things like that, then that's a massive undertaking.
Sure.
So we can just hang on. We just hold on until that's all done, if that's something that you believe in. But I think there's good times. I really do think there's good times, but just a bit more pain until everyone, or till there's a critical majority of people that accept that when something else is offered as an alternative, that it's not a forced, it's an easy decision to be made. Okay, yeah, we've really had enough of this. How did we get ourselves into it? I genuinely think that the controllers, they've got all the weapons, they've got all the the technology, and so we really needed a bit of assistance, and I think that assistance has been building up behind the scenes. Good times. I think I can't.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your take on the same thing, really.